Hello everyone. The topic of today's presentation is antiplatelet drugs. We will discuss these drugs in two parts. Today we are going to describe part 1. Myself Rashmi Arora, Assistant Professor Pharmacology, welcomes you all to the YouTube channel of Chameli Devi Institute of Pharmacy, Indore. Before we start with the antiplatelet agents, first we should know about the formation of platelets. It occurs in 3 steps: adhesion, activation and aggregation. Following the vascular injury, Wall-Wilbin factor binds to collagen in exposed subendothelium at the site of injury. The other side of the rod-formed Wall-Wilbin factors bind to platelet receptors glycoprotein 1b, and thus the platelets are anchored to the site of injured endothelium. This step is adhesion step and is followed by activation and aggregation. Now, following adhesion, second step is activation, which occurs under the influence of adhesion of agonists like collagen, thrombin, ADP and thromboxane A2 to their respective receptors binding. As a result of adhesion of agonists to their receptors binding, the formation of new glycoprotein 2b3a complex takes place, or we can say that due to the activation of platelet, the change in shape causes the exposure of 2b3a complex. These 2b3a complexes, they further play the potential role in aggregation of the platelets, and how they form the bond between the two glycoprotein members of the adjacent activated platelets and thus forms a loose platelet. And antiplatelet therapy is basically targeting these 3 steps which are forming the platelets, and various agonists have been blocked with the help of antiplatelet agents. So this is how the platelet aggregation takes place, and we use antiplatelet agents for the treatment of unnecessarily blockage present into the vessels. Basically, these agents are used as adjuvant therapy in case of cardiovascular disorders. Anticoagulants are the agents which are preventing clotting by inhibiting the clotting factors, that is the coagulation process, and it can act on both extrinsic as well as intrinsic pathway, and they are used in prevention and treatment of thrombosis. On the other hand, antiplatelet agents are the agents which prevent or inhibit the platelet activation and this aggregation, and they are basically used in prophylactic treatment in the high risk patients with cardiovascular disorders. And in this class we are going to study about the antiplatelet agents. And thrombolytic or fibrinolytic agents are those agents which act by dissolving the existing thrombi or emboli and is used in the treatment of acute thrombosis. So start with the antiplatelet classification. We have arachidonic acid pathway inhibitors, for example aspirin, phosphodiesterase inhibitors like dipyramidol, adenosine diphosphate pathway inhibitors, that is ticlopidine and clopidogrel, and glycoprotein 2b3a inhibitors, that is apixaban and aptifibitidine and tirofiban. All these agents, if you observe that in the second slide we have seen, all these are the components which bound to the receptor to make the aggregation of the platelet happen. So we want to inhibit all these agents so that the aggregation won't take place. So antiplatelet drugs are those drugs which basically act on these particular type of agents to inhibit their pathway. First, we will take up the arachidonic acid pathway inhibitors, that is aspirin. It is also known as acetyl salicylic acid. It irreversibly inhibits the cyclooxygenase 1 enzyme via acetylation. Although aspirin is non-selective in nature, it acts both on COX-1 and COX-2, but preferentially it inhibits the cyclooxygenase 1 enzyme. Small doses also inhibits thromboxane A2 synthesis in platelets, but not prostacyclins, that is PGI2 synthesis in endothelium. So we require to block the prostaglandin synthesis in a larger dose. It is used basically in the prophylaxis of thromboembolism, in the prevention of transient ischemic attack, ischemic stroke and myocardial infarction. And it is also used in ischemic events in patients with unstable angina pectoris, and it can be combined with other antiplatelet agents like clopidogrel or heparin. The most commonly dose used is 81 mg enteric coated tablet per day, but the side effects associated with aspirin are the risk of peptic ulcer. It basically attacks on the gastric mucosal lining, and the ulceration, the patient becomes more prone to ulcer formation. So to prevent this ulcer formation, antacids basically are recommended to take along with this therapy empty stomach, not aspirin empty stomach, but only the antacids. And also the side effect includes the increased incidence of gastrointestinal bleeding, because it prolongs the bleeding time, because it won't allow the platelet to aggregate, and that is how the bleeding time gets increased up. And when the peptic ulcers, they become more severe, then bleeding takes place. So internal bleeding incidence gets increased up many folds with the use of aspirin. Then is adenosine diphosphate pathway inhibitor, that is ticlopidine and clopidogrel, very important drugs. These drugs specifically and irreversibly inhibit the adenosine diphosphate receptors, and they are required for the platelet activation and thus prevent the platelet aggregation. They basically target the step 2, and they are purigenic receptor, and it is a chemoreceptor for adenosine diphosphate as well. These inhibitors are given only orally. If we talk about the pharmacokinetic profile, they have the slow onset of action around 3 to 5 days, and these are the products, and they have to be activated in the liver. They are highly plasma protein bound, and they are basically used in the secondary prevention of ischemic complications after myocardial infarction, brain stroke and unstable angina. Adverse effects associated with clopidogrel and ticlopidine are severe neutropenia. Basically, complete blood count should be done monthly during the treatment to check a note on neutropenia. Then bleeding. Gastrointestinal related side effects are nausea, dyspepsia and diarrhea. Apart from that, the major side effect is allergic reactions. The drug interactions of adenosine diphosphate inhibitors are that they inhibit the cytochrome P450 enzyme, causing the increased plasma levels of the drugs such as phenytoin and carbamazepine. So when given with these drugs, the dose check should be on the priority. Now the individual compound clopidogrel, it is more potent than ticlopidine, and it is very important and most commonly used drugs as antiplatelet agent, and it has the longer duration of action, and thus the frequency gets decreased down. So we give the drug in a once daily dose, and it comprises less side effects, like it does not have the neutropenia like side effects as with ticlopidine. Bioavailability is basically unaffected by food, so food will not interfere with the absorption of clopidogrel, so we can take it along with food or without or empty stomach, as the case may be. Thus the clopidogrel has replaced the ticlopidine in this positive manner. Now the uses of clopidogrel is they are used in recent attack of myocardial infarctions, recent attacks of stroke, or established peripheral arterial disease. Means when the patient is new to the angina pectoris or the first time attack of recent stroke, can be treated with clopidogrel very well. However, it is also used in established or the old cases of arterial disease. It could be atherosclerosis or arteriosclerosis and other cardiovascular related problems, and also used for the patient with a history of recent myocardial infarction, as we have already discussed. They are also used in acute coronary syndrome for the patients with acute coronary syndrome or unstable angina, either those managed medically or with percutaneous coronary intervention with or without the stent. So these are the agents which are used, or they are promising antiplatelet agents. Rest of the agents we will cover up in the subsequent lecture, and till then, stay with us. Thank you.